Imagine opening your front door after a long day, shoulders heavy with the weight of conversations, traffic, unfinished thoughts, and instead of chaos greeting you, the air feels light, not just visually clean, but emotionally quiet. The floor is clear, uninterrupted. The sink is empty, reflecting soft light rather than yesterday's demands. Nothing calls your name. Nothing pulls at your attention. No mess waits in ambush. No clutter whispers accusations. The space receives you gently, as if it has been preparing for your return all day. It feels almost unreal to many people, like a luxury reserved for minimalist magazines or carefully staged homes. But in Japan, this calm is not created by wealth, excess space, or endless free time. It is built slowly, patiently, through habits so small they are almost invisible, movements that take seconds, decisions made without debate, a quiet agreement between people and the spaces they live in. There are no dramatic cleaning days circled on the calendar, no exhausting weekend marathons fueled by guilt and frustration. Instead, there are moments, tiny, fleeting moments woven into the day so naturally they barely register as effort. Yet these moments, repeated gently, are powerful enough to keep an entire home perpetually clean, orderly, and calm. The difference begins almost immediately after waking. The day does not start with rushing or resistance, but with intention. A futon is folded carefully, its weight lifted and placed aside, freeing the room once again. The tatami mats beneath are revealed, their woven texture grounding the space. The room transforms not through effort, but through restoration. What served its purpose during sleep steps aside during the day. Space is returned to the home before the world begins to ask for anything. This single act carries a quiet message. Nothing lingers where it no longer belongs. Nothing overstays its welcome. The environment remains fluid, responsive, alive. Morning light filters softly through thin curtains, diffused and gentle. Windows slide open, even when the air is cool, even when it would be easier to keep them shut. Stale air drifts out, fresh air enters, crisp and clean, carrying with it the subtle scent of morning damp earth, distant greenery, quiet streets just beginning to wake. This daily exchange allows the home to breathe, and a home that breathes does not suffocate under dust, odor, or stagnation. Neither does the mind. In many Japanese homes, the bed does not dominate the room. It does not anchor the space into permanence. It exists only when needed. And because it is temporary, disorder never settles into something fixed and accepted. The room remains adaptable, open, ready to serve multiple purposes throughout the day. This alone reshapes the relationship with mess. If nothing is permanent, nothing is allowed to decay into chaos. As the day unfolds, another boundary quietly does its work. Shoes never cross the threshold. The genkan, the small, sunken entryway, acts as a filter between worlds. The dust of the outside, the residue of streets and public spaces, the weight of the day, all stop here. Shoes are removed, turned outward, aligned not out of obsession or rigidity, but readiness. They wait calmly for the next departure. In this moment, disorder is intercepted before it ever enters. Inside, slippers move softly across the floor. Their muted sound is part of the home's rhythm. The floor itself feels different, cool beneath the feet in summer, warm and grounding in winter. These floors are not ignored surfaces. They are lived on. People sit there. Children play. Bodies stretch, kneel, rest. Because the floor is part of daily life, it is cared for constantly, almost without thought. Dust is noticed. Spills are addressed immediately. Cleanliness is not an aesthetic choice, it is practical respect. Gradually, another truth becomes apparent. There are fewer objects. Not emptiness, not austerity, intentionality. Every item has a role, a place, a reason. A pen is not drifting from table to counter to shelf. It belongs somewhere, and it returns there when its task is complete. A bag is not dropped and forgotten. It is placed, emptied, hung, not later, not after rest. Immediately. This single habit, returning an object to its home the moment it is no longer needed, is the quiet backbone of a spotless environment. Clutter cannot accumulate because it is never given permission to pause. Disorder never gets comfortable enough to stay. In the kitchen, this philosophy becomes tangible. Cooking does not end when the food is ready. It ends when the space itself has returned to zero. A cutting board is rinsed the moment vegetables are chopped, before residue dries and hardens. A pan is wiped while still warm, when oil lifts easily and effort remains minimal. Water flows gently. Hands move with familiarity, not frustration. Cleaning is not a separate event, it is part of the act itself. There is no looming pile of dishes waiting until nightfall. No sink heavy with silent judgment. Each item is handled as it is used, turning what many see as a burden into a calm, repetitive rhythm. Wash, rinse, set aside. Done. Even meals reflect restraint. Portions are modest, not out of deprivation, but balance. Utensils are chosen with care, not excess. Fewer dishes mean fewer demands later. Effort stays small because choices were small to begin with. After eating, surfaces are wiped gently, not scrubbed in anger, not attacked. A soft cloth passes across the table, crumbs vanish. The surface returns to neutral, ready. The home resets itself for the next moment of living. Nothing dramatic occurred. No heavy labor, no visible struggle, and yet, nothing is messy. Throughout the day, Japanese homes are quietly reset again and again. Not cleaned in the conventional sense reset. A cushion is fluffed after use. A book is returned to its shelf. A cup is rinsed and placed upside down to dry. Seconds pass. These actions seem insignificant in isolation, but together they prevent the buildup that turns life into a constant battle against mess. There is a shared understanding beneath all of this. Mess is far easier to prevent than to repair. Dirt, when fresh, is polite. It leaves easily. It does not argue. But when ignored, it hardens. It demands time. It becomes loud and stubborn. Bathrooms reflect this understanding with precision. Toilets are cleaned daily not because they look dirty, but because they are used. Moisture is ventilated immediately. Mirrors are wiped, while steam still lingers, before waterspots can claim their territory. Tiles are rinsed before soap residue settles in. Each action is preventative, gentle, respectful. Bathing itself is ritual. Bodies are washed thoroughly before entering the tub. The water remains clean. The space is honored. Respect flows both ways between person and place. Nothing waits for a mythical, deep cleaning day. Deep cleaning becomes unnecessary when care is constant, when attention never drifts too far away. And in this way, cleanliness stops being a chore and becomes a quiet form of daily gratitude. Laundry, too, is handled with the same quiet discipline. Not as a chore postponed, not as a burden stacked onto already heavy days, but as a gentle continuation of care. Clothes are never abandoned on the backs of chairs, or folded into shapeless piles that silently grow over time. When garments dry, they are folded while still warm, creases smoothed with deliberate hands, fibers aligned before wrinkles can settle in. Hangers are used immediately. Each piece returns to its designated place, as if guided by muscle memory rather than conscious effort. Closets remain calm, because chaos is never invited inside. Nothing enters without knowing where it will rest. There are no frantic searches for missing items, no avalanches of fabric tumbling out when doors are opened. The closet becomes a quiet space, orderly, breathable, almost respectful. Clothing is treated not as clutter, but as something that serves the body and deserves acknowledgement in return. Beneath this habit lies an emotional layer that often goes unnoticed. A tidy home is not merely about appearances, not about impressing visitors or maintaining an image of control. It is about mental clarity. In Japan, there is a deep-rooted belief that the environment shapes the mind. Disorder outside does not stay outside. It seeps inward, creating subtle noise, a constant hum of unfinished business that weighs on the nervous system. When you step into a room where everything rests gently in its place, something inside you loosens. Your shoulders drop. Your breathing deepens. The mind stops scanning for threats, for tasks, for reminders of what hasn't been done. You feel held by the space itself, as though the room is supporting you rather than demanding from you. This is why cleaning is not framed as punishment, obligation, or moral failure. It is not something to be endured or resented. It is care. It is an expression of gratitude toward the space that shelters you, that absorbs your daily life, your footsteps, your laughter, your fatigue. To clean is to say thank you without words. There is a word in Japanese kirei that captures this perfectly. It does not simply mean clean. It means beautiful, pure, clear, emotionally light. Cleanliness is not only physical, it is aesthetic, moral, and emotional all at once. A kirei space feels right, not because it is flawless, but because it is honest and tended. This philosophy is not learned in adulthood, it is introduced early. From a young age, Japanese children clean their own classrooms. They wipe desks, still warm from use. They sweep floors that echo softly beneath their brooms. They empty trash bins together, learning that maintenance is not beneath anyone, and not the responsibility of an unseen other. Care for shared space is communal. It belongs to everyone. These lessons do not end at school. They follow children home, shaping how they relate to their surroundings for the rest of their lives. Cleaning is never emotionally outsourced. It is not something done only when things fall apart. It is woven seamlessly into daily existence, as natural as eating or resting. As evening approaches and daylight begins to fade, the home enters another quiet rhythm. There is a gentle reset before night settles in. Cushions are realigned, corners squared with calm hands. Blankets are folded, not rushed, not tossed. Surfaces receive one final wipe, not because they are dirty, but because they are about to rest. Trash is sorted meticulously, burnable, non-burnable, recyclable, because respect extends even to waste, even to what is leaving the home. The space prepares itself for sleep just as the people do. Lights soften, movements slow, the home exhales. There is no frantic tidying before guests arrive, no rushed apologies for clutter, no last-minute panic. The home is always ready, not because it is perfect, but because it is always cared for. Readiness is not a performance. It is a state of being. What makes these habits powerful is not discipline or strictness, it is gentleness. Nothing is rushed. Nothing is forced. Actions unfold slowly, mindfully, almost meditatively. A cloth glides across polished wood. Water rinses ceramic with a soft, familiar sound. The faint scent of soap lingers briefly before fading. Fingers brush over a cleared surface, feeling smoothness where there was once noise. Over time, these micro-habits begin to compound. 10 seconds here, 30 seconds there. A minute reclaimed without effort. Hours of deep cleaning saved later. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, your home begins to stay clean on its own. Not because you clean more, but because you clean earlier. This shift removes emotional resistance entirely. When cleaning never becomes overwhelming, it never becomes something to dread or avoid. There is no buildup of guilt, no internal bargaining, no shame attached to mess, no exhaustion at the thought of beginning. There is only flow. Imagine living in a space where mess never raises its voice at you, where cleaning never steals your weekends or weighs on your mind during rest, where your home feels like an extension of your calm, not a source of stress or quiet disappointment. This is the quiet secret behind Japanese homes that seem effortlessly spotless. Not perfection but presence. Not obsession but respect. Not grand transformations but small actions, repeated with care. And perhaps the most powerful truth of all is this: these habits do not demand more time. They give time back. Time once lost to chaos. Time once stolen by overwhelm. Time reclaimed for rest, thought, and living. In a world that moves too fast, these micro-moments slow everything down. They remind us that order does not come from control but from attention. And when you begin to treat your space with attention, it responds in kind. So the next time you put something down, pause for a breath. Ask yourself, does this object belong here? Or am I simply postponing effort? The next time you cook, wipe as you go. The next time you shower, leave the space cleaner than you found it. These tiny choices shape your environment. And your environment, quietly and patiently, shapes you. If this philosophy resonated with you, if you felt the calm between the words, let it carry beyond this moment. Like the video. Subscribe for more slow, intentional explorations of everyday wisdom. And step into tomorrow carrying just a little less chaos than yesterday. Because a peaceful home is not built in a single day. It is built in moments you choose to care. And those moments begin now.